Welcome to Hart, where we talk about games, movies, and animes young and old. And today we're finally going to be talking about the final two movies in the Alien franchise, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. Now, Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, I've pretty much heard, are not good movies. Well, I've mainly heard that about Resurrection. I haven't heard terrible things about 3, but I definitely have not heard anything good about Resurrection. Now, to start, Alien 3, I just hated the beginning so much. I didn't actually hate the movie. I didn't think it was that bad, but I hated the beginning. I hated it a lot. It takes place immediately after number 2. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers for Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection in this video, so just let you know. So the movie starts with the ship that Ripley's on, and Ripley's on a ship with the young girl Newt that she rescues in the second movie. The other guy who's like seems like almost a love interest was the captain of the ship in the second movie, and half of the android. Those were the survivors at the end of the second movie, and now at the beginning of the third movie, that ship is crash landing because there was somehow an alien on the ship. Well, an alien egg, which hatched, and then the facehugger tries to get into one of the cryo tubes, which makes makes the ship like malfunction and the ship crashes. And from there, we're kind of assumed that someone got face hugged and someone is implanted with an alien. But it doesn't matter because they all die except for Ripley. So Ripley is once again a lone survivor, and everything from the second movie is basically just erased right from there because she crash lands into a prison and they're all like really bad convicts. It's a high security prison. So when she crash lands there and everyone that she came with before her who knows about all the aliens and everything, they're all dead. And Ripley realizes that there's an alien somewhere here now. No one believes her. It just is like a repeat of the other movie, of the second movie almost, because it's just nobody believes her. They have to go in for themselves and get completely slaughtered so that they can find out, oh yeah, the alien actually is real. And then they're underprepared, so they don't know how to deal with the alien. And then they gather weapons and then they fight the aliens and then they leave and they're saved. And that's like basically just this movie again, except a little different. Because this one basically is that they're ill-prepared and they have no modern technology on this prison at all. So they have to like craft things and get creative so that they can now fight the aliens that are in the prison with them. And we also find out halfway through, very big spoiler by the way, we also find out halfway through that Ripley actually is the one who got face hugged, and she now has an alien in her chest, which she somehow knows that it's the queen. Like she just knows that she has the queen in her chest. So that's why it's taking so long and not just chest bursting like almost immediately like some of the other ones, or not almost immediately, but in a much faster fashion. Then we know that logically this movie can only end in one way. And you know what? It was totally fine. Because the ending was actually, I liked the ending. The ending was good. The ending had a handful of twists that were really good. And then, of course, Ripley is either getting her chest bursted or she's going to have to die. So she ends up she ends up sacrificing herself into like lava. And it's honestly a little bit of a fitting death for the character. Like, I understand why this movie has like low reviews and some people really don't like it. Like the animation, like the CGI is so bad. It's terrible. The alien is fully CGI'd up the ass in this movie, and it's fucking really bad. And like I said, the beginning of the movie, I absolutely hated. Like I hated the first bunch. And then throughout the middle and the end, I actually kind of started to like it because it started to gain its own charm. It's a little bit of like a typical jail movie or like a prison break movie almost, just with an alien, multiple aliens. And the kind of moral question of, do any of these inmates even deserve to be alive anyways? Because they're all like fucked up. And it's like, well, if the alien kills them, it doesn't really matter. Does it? Does it matter? Does it not matter? Do they deserve to live? Like, it's just this whole question about it of whether you care or not. Then you end up actually liking a couple of them. Not all of them, definitely not all of them, but there are a few that you end up liking their characters. And because it's an alien movie, you know that like 90% of the people are going to die. So, or all of them, because Ripley's just been the lone survivor for all of them at this point. I guess I don't have like a ton to say about 3 because I really am like medium about it. I do like the ending. Like I actually think it's a perfectly fine send-off for Ripley as a character. And I watched there's too many variations of this movie, too many different editions. And I watched, I think one of the 2003 special edition, and I liked it. It added an extra like 20 minutes or something like that to the movie, which was wild, but I did like it. I enjoy it. I just really hated the beginning. I just felt like it was so unnecessary to do that. And because it's Alien 3, like we're at a point where you're just not going to be better than the first or the second movie that came before. There's nothing that I feel like the only logical way for them to go in Alien 3 was it for to be Ripley's last movie. And I completely like agree with that. I saw it going into this movie thinking, well, Ripley probably has to die in this one, because I kind of knew that in Resurrection, spoilers, but they clone her. And that's why she's alive in Resurrection, which is just fucking stupid. But we'll get to that. Because I still really liked Ripley in this movie. We finally kind of see like a broken Ripley who eventually gets built back up as the movie goes on. To see her kind of like that was very different. And I just think that that's what you needed. I just think this movie did exactly what you would think it would do with a third movie that, like, it's 1, 2, and 3. It's a trilogy. You know what I mean? Resurrection is kind of outside of the trilogy. So you can assume that 1, 2, and 3 is going to have a conclusion. And this definitely does have a conclusion, whereas the first and second one don't really. They have a more open-ended ending. So I guess like movie-wise, it actually wasn't even that bad, but just all of the alien stuff and the fucking CGI, it was just so not good. There really weren't that many like memorable moments in 3, aside from the ending, really. Like the ending, the captain, like all the captain of the ships that you meet just don't have the greatest moments, and they don't really get redeemed. But in this one, finally, the captain's like against Ripley, or the head of the jail, the fucking head prison guard or whatever, is like again kind of against Ripley for a lot of the movie. He does betray her at some point, but then he has redemption, and he makes such a difference. And it was fucking awesome. I was so pumped to see that, because a lot of the captains in these movies are just stupid as fuck, and they end up and it's like a trope almost that the captain ends up leading their crew into the shittiest situations in the movies. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, so overall, I think like looking at Alien 3 as a part of the Aliens trilogy, I actually don't think it's that bad. I really don't. The taglines and stuff suck. Like, it's 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror. It's like, it was none of that. In 1979, we discover in space, no one can hear you scream. In 1992, we discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream. It's just fucking stupid. Even like the storyline tagline, it says like, once again, Ripley must face skepticism and the alien as it hunts down the prisoners and the guards. Without weapons or modern technology of any kind, Ripley leads the men into battle against the terrifying creature. Like, it's basically the exact same, like, as 2. There's just no way for this movie to be any better than the ones before it. But I do still think that it's a worthwhile movie to watch if you're watching the Alien movies. I think that like plot wise and like the writing and the acting, like it's worth it. It's not a bad movie. Now, Alien Resurrection, on the other hand, almost had the opposite problem, where it had a bunch of super memorable moments and genuinely just like they did things with the xenomorph in this movie that was just kind of cool, that if they were to do in a different movie, it would be like, it would still be awesome. But because it's in Resurrection, it's considered not, because the whole movie itself is kind of shit. The intro of this movie is once again one of my least favorite parts. It's super jarring and just fucking weird to begin with. Like, it's just weird, I'll be honest. And this movie also has a bunch of different a bunch of different editions. Like, it has a director's cut, a special edition, but it was pretty unanimous that the theatrical version was just the best version of this movie, mainly because the other versions add nothing. Or not that they add nothing, but it's just they add nothing that makes the movie any better. So it's just better off to just watch the theatrical cut, which I thought was just a very funny conclusion to come to, which a lot of people did. A lot of people did just come to that conclusion, which is just so funny, because it's really not that bad of a movie. Like, the research I was doing before this movie, just to see which version to watch and stuff like that, it really made it sound like this movie was going to be like hot garbage. And it's kind of not. A comment that I saw said that it's a good popcorn flick, and I completely agree. Just get fucking 2 big old bags of popcorn, get a nice some candy, get a little drink, and watch Alien Resurrection, because then it'll maybe be kind of fun. But watching it as someone who really likes the Alien franchise, I should really say I love the Alien franchise. This movie does not need to exist. If it didn't exist, the whole franchise would be a lot better for it. I almost don't even consider it canon. What they do to Ripley is absolutely disgusting, and not even just because they clone her and they just won't let her fucking die. And the movie's a perfect example of that. It's like they got to keep going back to the cow, keep milking that cow, no matter how dried up it gets. Or just keep going back to the well, So what do? They revive Ellen Ripley, and that's the beginning of the movie. It's another reason why the beginning is my least favorite, because it's super jarring. And then they're bringing back this character, and you're like, why? Just let her die. But on the other hand, Sigourney Weaver does co-produce this movie, so in a way, she like wanted this to happen, which is just really weird. But anyways, so they bring her back and it's quickly told. I guess that is one actually thing about in the movie, that they just tell you everything. They don't really show you anything at all. There's one scene that's really good where they do a lot of show and not tell, but the whole movie they're just telling you things. Ripley comes out and she looks at her arm and she has like an 8 on her arm. So she knows that she's the 8th model. And then it's told and kind of figured out that she also has the memories of all her previous models and of Ellen, well, maybe not of her previous models, but she has the memories of Ellen Ripley. So she just like thinks that she's the original, basically, is the only thing that's really coming from that, is she has the memories of the original. And even though she has the memories of the original, she is just a completely different character. This Ellen Ripley that we're seeing is it's not just like the third one, how I was talking about, oh, we finally see like a broken Ellen Ripley who slowly gets built up as the movie goes on. Like, no, we just see, I don't even know what kind of Ellen Ripley. She has ulterior motives and we just don't, they're not even really fully fleshed out, because throughout the whole movie, it's almost like she's evil. But in this movie, they end up implanting the clones of Ellen Ripley with aliens so that they can eventually breed like the ultimate alien. So they do that with her. In the beginning of the movie, they're taking an alien out of the clone number 8's chest, and then they sew her back up and they let her live. And that alien that they take out ends up being the queen. So again, like just like the beginning of the third one does, it just completely erases the end of the previous movie. Because that was the whole point of the end of the third movie. She has the queen in her chest, and then she jumps into the fucking lava, sacrificing herself, has a hero's ending, and she gets rid of the queen. And then at the beginning of this new movie, it's like they clone her, and then they take an alien out of her chest, and it just so happens to be the queen. It's like, what the fuck? And then when she kind of wakes up and comes to it, like I was saying about her character, she's just a completely different character. And she's like super rude. And she keeps saying a bunch of times like, I'm the alien's mom. Like, I'm the monster's mother. Like, I'm mom. And she's like, they're my babies. And she has this like crazy menacing look to her when she's confronting the one, or talking to the one other person. It's like she's playing everyone else, but the one person sees through, and she's always like being fucking creepy towards her. Like, it's just not, she's, I guess, can be a badass because she's a clone. It's just not, ain't my Ellen Ripley, that's for sure. But they introduce an entirely new crew, which is made up of a handful of actual like actors that you'd probably know, but they're just young at the time. Like Winona Ryder's there. They have a young Tuco Salamanca. What is it? The one Tuco from Breaking Bad. The guy who plays him, he's there too, which is kind of cool. The one guy who plays Hellboy is there. I don't remember any of their names, but yeah, there's a couple. Like they got quite the cast to it, that's for sure. And they're all basically a new crew that like breaks onto a ship. And they steal the cryo chambers of another sleeping crew and they sell it to the people who are cloning Ripley. And then those people like set up the chambers so that they're right in front of like an alien egg, so that when the people wake up, the alien egg's right there and it just automatically face hugs them, and then another alien is born. But the crew doesn't know that. The crew doesn't know that they're selling these bodies to these cloners. Like, it's just this crazy what the fuck is happening shit. Where you get introduced to this new crew who you're not really sure about, and they land onto the ship where you know Ripley is, and you know that she's being cloned there and that there's aliens there. And then you see this new crew bringing on humans sleeping in cryo chambers, and it's like, well, that's not going to be good. So those people basically end up sacrificed. So it seems like this is all just being done for science, you know? Like they're just testing these humans on people. They're using clones of Ripley to create really strong aliens. Yeah, so there ends up being a bunch of aliens on the ship, and they end up having to find a way to kill them. And that's basically the movie in a nutshell. I guess that's kind of all the alien movies. There are a handful of really cool things that do happen. I don't want to just go through the entire movie, so I'll talk about some cool scenes that they have. Before any really crazy alien stuff happens, Ripley's just like playing basketball in this really small basketball court that they have. And the one character comes in and tries to kind of like get up all in her face. And he's this like manly dude, and he's trying to intimidate Ripley, who's a woman. And he's like, yeah, well, I can show you other games we can play, baby. And then she like, I don't know, she gets around him and scores on him and like hits him in the balls, I think. And then as she's walking away, she throws the basketball behind her and no look swishes a shot. And that was a real thing that happened on set that Sigourney Weaver just fucking did. First take. And everyone's reaction was like, holy shit. And they were like, that's in the movie. So first take, and they used everyone's legit reactions. So That's just a really fucking hilarious, memorable moment from that movie. That's like, why was that there? It really was not necessary at all, but it's so cool. Like, okay, it's just kind of to emphasize because she's a clone, so she can just do weird stuff. But it's weird because it's like she's a clone, not a synthetic. I don't know. The rules that they're using for these are weird, kinda, because I feel like a clone shouldn't be able to do that, like a synthetic should be able to do that. That would make more sense. And there's another one that this is like a chain of events in this movie that I really liked, that I thought were cool. That was like actually good. Like if this was in a different Alien movie, or the next one I want to talk about were in a different Alien movie, it would just be just as cool and probably done a lot better. But there's 3 aliens in a small container. They're like being held captive in the small container. 2 of them are sleeping. 1 of them is active, trying to break the glass. The doctor who's outside hits a big red button, and it like shoots CO2 to like freeze them and make them cold. So it's like hurting them. And then he lets go of the red button. It stops. And the alien tries to hit the glass again. And the guy just puts his hand over the red button because he's like trying to see if it learns. And then the alien doesn't go for the glass. And he's like, oh, like you learn quick. The alien knows, okay, I'm not going to go for the glass. Then like a scene later when there's a little more chaos happening, 2 aliens are awake. So now there's 3 awake aliens in this container. And you can see they're like communicating. And 2 of the aliens are kind of gesturing like we're going to break the glass. And then the one alien gestures going like don't do it because the red button, like you can see that they're like they don't speak, they're just moving and gesturing, they're not even like pointing, they're just moving, but you can tell that's kind of what they're talking about. And then the 2 aliens just kind of decide we have another plan, and then they just jump the one alien who's like trying to warn them about the button. They just jump him and kill him. And then his dead body, because their blood is acid, the dead body and the blood melts a hole in the floor. So then the 2 aliens escape through the hole in the floor. And then they loop back around, and a guy comes into the room to investigate, and he sees there's a dead alien, there's a hole in the floor. He's like, oh my God. Then an alien hangs down in front and presses the red button. And it now freezes this dude who's in there. And he tries to like move, and it rips his arm off, and then he ends up being completely frozen. And it's just a crazy chain of events. You're like, damn, these fuckers are smart. They're smart, and they do learn quick. And I really liked that. I just think that was like such a cool way to show that they are smart and they do learn quick. And it was just like a cool chain of events in a very different way for an alien to kill someone. Like it literally learned, and then the alien pressed a giant red button with its like mouth thingy. It was like, didn't like press it with his hand. That would have been insane. And then another part is that it kind of just becomes Jaws. The pitch from the very beginning for the first Alien movie was Jaws in space, and then they find a body of water and they're swimming, and then all of a sudden 2 of the aliens just start swimming, and it's literally just like, now this is just Jaws in space. It's just Jaws in Alien is Jaws. And though there's 1 kill that happens, there's like 1 kill that happens, but one of the alien fucking explodes when it's in there, gets shot with like a grenade launcher and just goes pop. But then 1 human dies in there, and it's pretty lame. You don't see anything, it just gets dragged away. But I still think that like if those 2 scenes were in another Alien movie, they would have been done so much better and had such cool potential. But again, like they still were cool. Like if I'm sitting there, you know, I've got some snacks, I'm shoving my face with popcorn, and I'm like, damn, look at that, the alien's swimming. Like, it's cool. It's just that this movie, I guess you really can't take as seriously because it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work in those ways. It's really just not like it's not like the movies that came before it. Though 3 didn't have that many memorable moments, as just a movie with like plot, story, writing, stuff like that, way better. Like just way better of a movie. And you like all the characters and stuff. I don't know any of the characters' names in the 3rd movie. Not a single one. I kept seeing fucking Winona Ryder and just going, Winona Ryder. Every time she'd come on screen, I'd go, Winona Ryder. She was one of my favorite characters though, because they gave her like a lot to do. And the ending, once again, they've done very well with the endings. Like every single Alien movie has like pretty good ending. This one had like twist after twist after twist after twist, and they were really good. Like just on the edge of my seat when it kind of starts, like gives you 1 major twist, and you're like, wow, that was big. And then there's like another little twist, and then another little twist, and then another major twist. You're like, oh my God, they're just gonna keep going. And the first one is like huge. Like I did not expect it in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. The cat is now here. He's hanging out. So yeah, the ending was like kind of good. It's just that like once again, we don't really have a conclusive ending. It's like, what the fuck were we doing here? Like what were we trying to do? Why were we going for a sequel after 3 if we weren't going to give it a
more conclusive ending. Like in 3. 3 is a conclusive ending. It shit ends and you're like, yes, that is the end of that. A Resurrection, like it's another little bit of an open-ended ending. Again, Ripley's kind of just being weird. And like, I thought she was gonna just be evil, and then she's not. But when an alien dies, she's very sad. There's like a scene where an alien dies and she's like, I feel him dying. And she's like so upset. And then an alien kills a human that killed the other alien. And it cuts back to her and she's like, ah, yes. Like she's so happy. And you were like, what the fuck's going on? She's going to change. She's going to turn. And even in the final like conflict with the final alien, which is fucked up, the final alien that they create, the queen like transforms because of Ripley. Like, oh, it's doing this for you, Ripley. I don't exactly want to say what it is, but it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Basically, the alien ends up going from being able to lay a bunch of eggs to just giving birth to one humanoid alien, because that's supposed to be like the peak of it, I guess, but it just doesn't really make any fucking sense. Then the stupid thing ends up fucking killing the queen, and it's like, well, shit, obviously it's gonna turn on us. But the way they kill that thing, I don't know what to call it. It's not a xenomorph, it's something else. Like the final kill is fucking awesome. Again, if it was in another alien movie, maybe it could have worked better, but I feel like all of these things that I brought up being in this movie, I guess, make it the popcorn movie that it is. Because without these scenes, the movie would actually just be fucking shit. Like, it just would not be good. It just would not be enjoyable. Because I guess they have so many of these wacky moments at certain intervals where it kind of keeps you invested. Yeah, that's probably it. But yeah, like there's like a small hole in a window to space, and it sucks the alien against the wall. So now its back's being sucked out of the hole, and it's just that one part of skin that's being pulled back, and eventually it pops, and then it starts sucking out all of its innards and all of its bones and everything, and then it becomes flat, and then its meat like folds up and flies out the fucking window. It's crazy. Like this movie, it's weird. This movie in 3, I guess, did have opposite problems, where Resurrection had a lot of memorable moments. 3 kind of didn't. I didn't like Ripley at all in Resurrection. I really liked how they built Ripley in the third one. I hated the beginning of both movies. The ending of both movies had pretty good twists and turns. One had like, boom, it's over. And the other one had an open ending. I don't know. Maybe Resurrection is allowed to exist. Maybe it can still be existing. I just don't know if I think it's I don't really consider it that much as canon. Like, it has those memorable moments, and I think that those are definitely worth something. Like, it's a funny movie experience. But like I said, now that I'm kind of at that point where I've watched all the Alien movies, out of all of them, like this one is just the weirdest. I don't know. I guess it didn't feel like crazy stakes in this one. This one didn't feel like that serious. Different experience, I guess. Like, not the worst. Again, not the greatest, not the worst. Probably my least enjoyed, like, Covenant and Resurrection are definitely on the bottom for me for what I enjoyed for Alien movies. They're definitely on the bottom there. But yeah, I guess that's it. I guess Alien Resurrection is the end of it, chronologically. Like, I don't know, after this, they're just make it to Earth or something. And I don't know. I just like the end of 3 better, I think. But yeah, not as bad as I thought it would be. So I guess that's good, right? And yeah, thank you for watching. The easiest way to support is to subscribe or to like this video. It's free. It's easy. It's, like I said, the easiest way to support. We got a lot more videos coming down the pipe. These are some of my latest. And I've got my Alien Isolation video coming out soon as well. I'm also playing 9 Souls right now on twitch.tv/thepitlive, and that is hard, but like I said, so much more content. Thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll have to do like an Alien movie tier list or something. Maybe throw the game in there because it does some really good storytelling. But until next time, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and we'll see you later. Peace.